Hello, fellow classmates and Mr. Jimmy. We are from Home Group 2. We are going to present to you about water crisis in Indonesia. My name is Mirsal, and I will be representing Home Group 2 alongside with Alisa. Okay, so here are the contents that will be explained in the video. Point 1 to 3 will be explained by me, and point 4 to 7 will be explained by Alisa. Okay, so let's start with the main issues of water crisis. As we know, currently in Indonesia it's experiencing what can be considered a water crisis, be it in reservation, collection, distribution, or sanitation. These are very broad and generalized facts about the current water crisis in Indonesia. Even though the problem is nationwide, Java contributes a large part to the problem. Facts indicating to sources of the issue is overpopulation, mismanagement of water sources, improper government support, and etc. So the problem hasn't gone unnoticed as well. News outlets are constantly publishing articles related to the issue. We are also aware of various facts about the current situation of the country, such as the overall increase of local population, the island of Java being overcrowded, improper facilitation by government, and cases of unclean water making people sick. With those facts, we are also able to link them and identify the possible causes of the whole problem. So the first one is disproportionate aerial development. So Indonesia's focus on Java is taking its toll, with the island experiencing a shortage of water supply. Then second one is improper government regulations and facilities. So the local government's mismanagement proves costly to existing water reserves, like pre-phasation of water sources and usage before the cancellation of Law Number 7, 2004. And the third one is overpopulation. The ever-increasing population in Java leads to a significant decrease in water reserve per capita. This is expected to worsen in horrible rates over the next years. And the last one is climate change, deforestation, lack of natural water reservoirs, and increased greenhouse effects all lead to higher evaporation rates. So by analyzing those potential causes, we will be able to delve deeper into this issue by coming up with a standpoint, hypothesis, suggestions for solution, and finally a conclusion. So the problem statement for this issue is, the first one is 60% of the population is concentrated in Java. So its population is huddled together in the island of Java, including Bali and Madura. This makes Java the world's most populous island and one of the most densely populated parts of the world. Another 50 million live in Sumatra, while a mere 19 million live in Kalimantan, 17 million live in Sulawesi, and 4 million in Indonesian Papua. And the second one is 77% of Java Island has a water deficit for 1 to 8 months each year. It is estimated that approximately 77% of the districts and cities in Java Island have experienced 1 to 8 months of water deficit in 1 year. In 2025, the number of districts and cities that experience water deficit will become 78.4%, with a deficit from 1 month to 12 months or 1 full year. And the third one is Law Number 7 of 2004 on water resources was canceled by the Constitutional Court. So the Constitutional Court recently annulled Water Resources Law Number 7, 2004 and reinstated Water Law Number 11, 1974. The court granted arguments of the plaintiffs who insisted that the 2004 law had encouraged privatization and commercialization of water resources at the expense of people's rights to water. And this last one is, many of orang rimba in Jambi are sick of the lack of clean water. So lack of clean water further worsened the conditions as their water resources had been polluted by industrial waste. Since 1980s, the group's customary forests have been exploited as the government turned them into oil palm plantations and developed infrastructure that trespass on their territory. So based on our group standpoint toward this problem, the issue is, which is water deficit we face today is something critical as the impact will be significant, which is no longer clear water can be obtained. It is important that we know the urgency of this problem. That's why our group believes that this should be overcome as soon as possible. Our concern for this issue is to raise awareness toward environment and encouraging government to develop other islands so that the growth is the same and the people have such a willingness to transmigrate. Secondly, it is important that we must prioritize the solutions. There are a lot of approaches to this problem, which will be explained further in the next slides. So the next part of the presentation will be explained by
Thank you,
Alisa.
Mirsal, for explaining about the opening, problem statement, and the group standpoint. My name is Edwina Alisa Matindas, and I will start the second half of the presentation by explaining the hypothesis. So, based on our group's discussion and the problem statements, along with numerous supporting data from various sources, we have come up with a hypothesis, which is that water crisis in Indonesia is caused by various root causes: climate change, overpopulation, environmental degradation, and lastly, imbalanced water infrastructure. It's very hard for our group to pinpoint the root cause into only one, because all variables here connect with one another and influence each other in a way. In the next following slides, I will explain more about the solutions that can be implemented to tackle these issues. The first is slow down climate change. After looking deeper into the problem, we have found that one of the main causes of the lack of water supply in Java is caused by climate change. What happened is that water that is available on the ground is being evaporated into the air due to an increase in the overall temperature. This causes an imbalance in the overall water cycle. This should be everyone's responsibility and not just the government. The government, though, have taken actions on improving the overall public transportation to reduce the use of private transportation, such as building MRT and LRT railways. The second is control overpopulation. Overpopulation is obviously the cause of the water deficit, as if the population increases, then the water supply per year for each people will decrease. It is a classic demand versus supply issue. This is probably why the government is initiating a shift in the capital city from Jakarta, which is on Java Island, to Kalimantan Island. Kalimantan has a way lesser population and also have more land area. Moreover, the people living on Java Island, especially, should follow the program Keluarga Berencana that the government has imposed to help control the birth rate. With lesser population also means that fewer forest areas for water absorption are chopped down for making housing facilities, etc. This would hopefully solve the problem of overpopulation on Java Island. Thirdly, impose education early on. Water deficit could be tackled easily if actions are made for it. However, it is hard to actually implement our solutions here if people are still lacking awareness. We think this is why education about these matters are important, and children these days are already being exposed to these messages early on. Exposing these kinds of messages early on will help hopefully build a new generation that is more caring towards the environment. Moreover, with education, people will rethink again before having more than 2 children, perhaps, as they would have to carry a higher economical burden with more kids to take care of. This will in turn reduce overpopulation as the birth rate is being controlled. Lastly, improved government management. There is an imbalanced division, especially in infrastructure and the growth in Java relatively to other islands. This condition leads to rapid growth, including the population, which decreases the water supply per person. However, water management infrastructure remains the top priority for the government. This goes the same regarding imposing laws against factories or households in dealing with their waste. If the waste is not treated and is released into the water bodies, it will cause severe contamination towards our water supply, which again reduce our water supply. So there are various solutions that our team has come up with. In order to prioritize those solutions, we have decided to use 2 frameworks. The first one is impact versus effort framework, which can help prioritize the solutions into different quadrants. The most prioritized solution would be the low effort, high impact, and the least prioritized would be high effort and low impact. Secondly, short-term versus long-term solution. We want the water crisis to be urgently tackled, and hence, we need to think of the solution which can have immediate effect. In addition, we also want to consider future generations and more strategic long-term initiatives as well. So based on those two frameworks that we've shared, here are the selected solutions sorted in order of priority. The first is education. For the short term, we suggest that the government should educate more and raise awareness about the environment to reduce climate change and rapid population growth. It is chosen as it is low effort and the impact is quite high. Second is development. For the long term, we suggest that the government should develop other islands outside Java to attract more capital and investments to develop the economy and infrastructure. This is to reduce the differences among Java Island and others from all aspects. Third, transmigration. As a result from the previous solution, there will be more opportunities in other islands. These islands can also accommodate more population, as the government can encourage people to move to islands to reduce the pressure of Java. This solution can bring very large impact as well as high effort, since it needs so much amount of investment and time. And lastly, national power. As we have mentioned many times, government is the key of these solutions, and it should play the leading role to implement these solutions by the national power that it has. With that, let me conclude this presentation by summarizing what we've discussed. We have gone over the main issues of water crisis and problem statements. We have shown interest in problem solving by coming up with a hypothesis. We brainstormed ideas to alternative solutions, and we prioritize the solutions from short term up to long term. As a final statement, I would like to say this. A picture is worth 1,000 words. The water crisis in Indonesia is severely impacting millions of lives. It is truly heartbreaking to see these pictures, since it reminds us of the people's daily lives that are impacted by the water crisis. So for those of you watching, please do raise awareness and educate yourselves on this matter. We need to demand the government to help all the people that are affected by this, and we need all of your help. On behalf of my home group, I would like to say thank you very much for the attention throughout the presentation, and any feedback and questions are very much welcomed.